All right. Hello, everyone. Oh, wow. It's going to be showing up there as well. Sorry. We are excited to have you all here for the first inaugural. There we go. Thank you. Sorry, there's a technical moment just now. This is the first inaugural Alumni Council meeting, association meeting. We're going to have probably some technical difficulties. We're going to have some moments here where we're going to get to chat with our new president of Franklin University, Switzerland. And I have the honor of talking with you as well today as president of the Alumni Council with my Vice President Ryan Ellis over there. So if you're on the chat, or if you're online right now, make sure to message us and we'll answer your questions along the way. Tara's monitoring over there to make sure that we're getting all of your questions, and we're also recording this. So we'll get this out to all alumni, but I want to welcome all of you today. And hi, welcome. We're going to have some people moving in and out of the room here as well. But we'll try to keep this meeting to short as possible. We have about 2 hours on the agenda, but as Kim, the board chair, has said, we try to keep these meetings very short and sweet. Yesterday's board meeting was not that, but we're going to beat the board meeting. I'm Emily Boynton. I'm the president of the Alumni Council, as I said, and I graduated in 2009, right around the time of the economic collapse, which was perfect timing. I got to move to Washington, D.C. As an unpaid intern and working for an international bipartisan think tank for a period of time. And then I found my passion and love in nonprofit management and have been in fundraising and nonprofit management for the last over a decade in Washington, D.C. And most recently, I moved to Bend, Oregon on the west coast of the United States. Well, not exactly the coast, it's still in the desert of Oregon, so that I could practice a little bit more balance in my life, so that I could ski and work hard for a community-based organization called Mosaic Medical. We provide community health to all, dental, pharmacy, everything you can think of to anyone, even if they're uninsured or have insurance. So I'm very privileged to be able to do that, but I'm even more honored and privileged to be the first ever president of the Alumni Council. The Alumni Council was started actually in the 90s by some amazing alumni who wanted to make sure that all alumni around the world were represented in a concise way. We had meetings every quarter. We've always been in partnership with the board and with staff of the alumni relations staff and advancement staff. In the last 18 months, though, we wanted to the pandemic really opened our eyes to the fact that we weren't getting in touch with all of our alumni around the world. I'm really excited and inspired by the fact that there are so many people actually here in the room that I've never even met before. A lot of recent graduates and some of our more veteran graduates as well are here in the room. And so it was really an opportunity for us as alumni council members. I've been an alumni council member since I graduated in 2009 to reinvigorate the alumni council and build it up so that each one of us had our own passion and standing in the community, but so that we could better represent the alumni base all around the world. So we've reinvigorated it. And today during this meeting, we're going to go through the new committees that we have for the Alumni Council, those roles. We have many of our chairs on this call and in the room here today. I encourage every single alumni to be a part of either the Alumni Council or the alumni base in a lot of different, we have different levels of participation, and this is the beginning of a journey that we can all take together so that we can help out Franklin, so that we can continue the success that Franklin has had over these 53 years that Franklin has been around, and so that we can stay connected and better connect with students, faculty, staff. We want to have all of those different levels of connection with the university. We have staff members from the university here today in person with us, and we have fantastic faculty partnerships that we want to continue. And I know each one of us are very passionate about Franklin. I hope that you'll take this opportunity to not only learn, but also to find out where you fit in the Franklin Alumni Association world, and what you'd like to do for Franklin or for the current students that are there, and just remain connected in every way. So that's basically what we're going to cover today, and a little bit about me. You'll get to meet some other fabulous people here today. I wanted to also, during my president's report, give you a little bit of an update on where Franklin is right now. We have about 395 students at Franklin right now, and in the past 2 years, we had over 160 students, new students, which is a record number. We have Lucilla here in the room, who is our head of admissions, and she and her team have been doing a really fantastic job of getting people from all over the world at Franklin, and we're really excited to have her on board as a part of the Franklin family. And it hasn't been easy. Of course, during the pandemic, alumni and students had to go virtual. We did, as alumni council members, we did have one event during the pandemic, which was a virtual trivia show, our trivia competition. But otherwise, we haven't really been able to get together. Even graduation this past year was finally in person. The president invited members from previous years to come and graduate as well, and be a part of that particular graduation. So the pandemic has been hard, but I think it is truly a moment for us to be reinvigorated and use this time that we've had over the last 3 years of thinking and reflection to make sure that we're building up the Franklin community even stronger into the future. One other, I want to just touch on a couple other things that have happened in the last couple of years that are really successful. Franklin established a green office this last year, and it was actually a part of the senior class gift. They raised over $50,000 this last year to produce this green office, which helps with sustainability at every level in the university. If you want more information about that particular initiative, it is online. And it also was featured in our newsletter yesterday that came out. I hope you all got that newsletter and get a chance to read it at some point. Also, this last year, a diversity, equity, and inclusion task force became a committee at the university, and that has representation from faculty, staff, and students, and we had an alumni representative as well on that particular committee, and we're really excited to see that Franklin's looking at different opportunities to make sure everyone's voice is heard, but also that people feel included and belonging, no matter where they are from, what economic status they have. We want to make sure that everyone feels a part of the Franklin family. So that DEI committee is still continuing, and you'll hear more about that today also, because the Alumni Council is going to be a part of that as well. I believe that's it. Those were the couple really cool successes in the last couple of years. And there's going to be even more information coming out through your newsletters. And hopefully you'll keep in touch with the Alumni Council as well as representatives of the Alumni Association to make sure you're informed as to everything that's happening at Franklin. So without further ado, I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to let our new president speak a little bit about himself and introduce himself to the entire Alumni Association.
Well, thank you so much.
Is that not the next thing? Oh, right.
It's gonna be Friday, we talk about all of these.
Never mind, I'm not going to introduce you to the president yet. So sorry, everyone. I got too excited. Right. You have to unmute yourself, right?
Well, good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the first annual, inaugural, whatever you want to call it, alumni annual meeting. So yes, you met Emily Boynton. I am the vice president of the Franklin University Alumni Council. Also, like Emily, graduated in 2009. And again, it's great to see everyone on this call and in this room. Unfortunately, our funds officer, Connor Crawford, is not able to be here, but he is in charge of all the funds and make sure that I pay my dues on time. We have an open position, and if anyone on this call is interested, please let us know in the chat box. Let's send us an email for the secretary / parliamentarian. So we would certainly welcome and encourage anyone that would like to join the Alumni Council. This is not a top-down structure. This is a bottom-up structure. We want to make sure that if you want to give back to Franklin, we give you the ability to do that. So that's the executive committee. I'm going to now go on to the committee chairs, introduce some people, explain a little bit about what each committee does. To start, Joey Moffitt has been the head of the admissions committee for all of 12 hours, and she is in the room.
Hi.
Sorry, there we are. So yes, the admissions committee works with the alumni relations and admissions department to ensure that alumni are being utilized in the most resourceful ways to help get the word out about Franklin from prospective students and families, as well as helping to steward admitted and deposited students prior to their arrival on campus. This is something we all went through and certainly would be helpful with helped along by the Alumni Council. Next is the Advancement Committee, also headed up by Connor Crawford, class of 2012. The Advancement Committee conducts outreach to both Alumni Council members and members of the greater alumni community to help the Alumni Council and university achieve their fundraising goals. Best practices, stewardship, and creating a culture of philanthropy on and off campus are also objectives of this committee. It is my pleasure to hand it over to excuse me, Margaret Pendo, class of 2020, who is the Alumni and Student Outreach Committee Chair. Welcome, Margaret. I don't know if you want to say something about your committee, or if you want me to simply read, whatever you want to do.
I can do something. So I was kind
We're doing on the call. Could you go over to Ryan?
Oh no, they could hear. I think they should be
hear?
able to hear. Yeah. Oh, I was gonna put her. Okay. You're good. Okay, let me unmute him. Hold on. I'm trying to be proactive.
We can't hear you.
We're good.
So basically, in more layman's terms, what I'm going to be doing is a lot of data collection. So kind of learning about what alumni are doing in their careers. I don't know if any of you guys listened to the podcast I created, kind of illustrating what people are doing all around the world. So it's going to be like a playful extension of that. I'm hoping to kind of cultivate an excited community, maybe get some hosting information, things like that. And then also hopefully being a more recent graduate, I'm going to kind of connect the Alumni Council in a deeper way to the students on campus, kind of getting them more involved in what they want to see for us, but also, what they hopefully inspiring them to join the alumni committee post-graduation. So it's kind of, that's it. But if anyone wants to join my committee, I'm looking and it's going to be really fun and open for a lot of creative ideas. So that's it. Thank you guys for listening.
Just come around.
Right over here. Margaret, can I?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you also help with networking in terms of professional networking?
So there's a career services committee chair as well through this committee, but since I'm going to be collecting a lot of data on careers, I'm sure I'll be really working with Maria as well. So, yeah,
I didn't really see it.
yeah,
She's on the call.
yeah. But we're all basically collaborating, probably.
The next committee, thank you very much, Margaret. So next committee is career strategy, something certainly near and dear to my heart. The chair is Marina Lorenzini, who graduated in 2016. So Marina, if you want to say a few words about your committee, you're more than welcome to do so.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Thank you, Margaret, for the segue there. So over the past, well, some of you may be in the room or on the
Be happy
call.
to explain
Pardon?
a little bit more about that.
Okay, she's talking.
Sorry.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Oh, there we go, yeah.
Yep.
You're Tara, you're.
Okay. Can you hear me okay? Yes, no?
I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. So, all right, I'll try to introduce myself a little bit. So some of you in the room or in the call maybe are already familiar with me. I live in Boston now, so I'm sorry I couldn't make it this morning. But essentially, thank you, Margaret, for the segue there. Essentially, for the past few years, I've been working on this committee. And in the past few months, I would say Emily and I and Tara and kind of in a smaller group, we've been having some more discussions about how to rework some of the activities of the Career Service Committee. So I would say further follow-up discussions will need to take place on what to expect from our group. But that's pretty much the update that I have.
Okay. Thank you very much. There we are. Here we go. So the next committee, and this actually does need a chair. So again, if anybody on the call would be interested in chairing the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Committee, please let us know again via the chat or via email. The DEIB committee helps to create a strategy through intersectional work that spans race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, disability, socioeconomic status, and more. The goal is to create and build impactful experience for alumni throughout the programming and our programming and volunteer opportunities. So again, very important. Would love for anyone on this call or anyone in the greater alumni community to chair that committee. And lastly, and if anybody was at the event last night knows how important this last part is, Regional Programming Director, and very happy to introduce Majda Dakak, class of 2015. So Majda, please take it away. Did we lose her? So yes, the regional programming director, regional programming committee will be comprised of all club leaders and will exist to share ideas and help with the planning of club events and initiatives. Again, this is something we really did a lot of pre-pandemic. I used to have two great parties here in New York and San Francisco, all over the world, and really want to get back to that because there's nothing better than a Franklin party. So would love for, if Majda goes back on, would love for her to talk a little about that. I encourage anyone that's interested in any of these committees or would like to chair a committee, please let us know. That is it for me. I'm now very proud to introduce the real president of Franklin University, Switzerland. Here we are.
So,
oh, there we are.
yes. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for hosting us today. It's really a pleasure to be surrounded by this group of not only talented but devoted Franklins, right? I also want to express my sincere gratitude to our chairman, to our professors, and to our staff members and colleagues from the cabinet who have also decided to be here with us today. On my way here, I was thinking this morning, I mean, I just, while I was taking the elevator, I thought, oh, my business cards, right? Where are they? And suddenly I said, oh, thank God that I did not take my business cards, because you take business cards when you're meeting business possibilities, opportunities. But when you're with a family or with a second family, as some of our members refer to Franklin, you don't need really business cards, because, and the way you present yourselves, I was very impressed yesterday, is not by the classical way of saying, what can I get? Is how can I help? And when you receive constantly that kind of comment and question and phrase, right, which is thrown to you as, how can I be of any help to the institution? You're clearly not acting as if we were business partners or potential for business opportunities, right? So I want really invite you to see us in those same terms, to see this new chapter in Franklin's history as an opportunity for you to become a source of inspiration for us. And such as personally I've been doing during this 3 months with that 100 Voices listening exercise, which has been basically one-on-one meetings with 100 staff, faculty, and students, right? In order to deep dive or deeply dive into the reality of Franklin, in order to project ourselves by looking to the past and by honoring the past, right? I would like also to learn more about your own stories at Franklin, right? And it's remarkable that this institution is sustained not only by the students who come, but by students who came, and not necessarily for long periods of time. So it's unbelievable how the strong belongingness and the strong pride could even suffocate the struggles that we as a small institution also face, right? So this has to be honored, this has to be maintained, this fire has to, and the flame has to be as high as possible, and you are all those important pieces to have that fire at full gas. So I will really invite you to reach out to us formally or informally through social media, or by coming to Lugano, hopefully at some point in time, and to see us really as an institution that it's open to learn and open to grow through you, not for you, not using you, not utilizing you, but obviously taking the advantage of having you so closely connected in hearts and souls to us. That's basically it. That was basically what I was thinking on my way here this morning. We will also like you to introduce us, if possible, because we've decided that one of our 3 main pillars in the very near future will be the 3 V's: values, visibility, and viability. And when it comes to visibility, there's no better way to deal with that than through you, right? So for you to consider yourself not as just as an alumni, but an activist, also a representative who's an activist and who could easily open gates for Franklin. It could be your secondary schools, which are also your alma mater. It could be friends, it could be family members, it could be anywhere in the world. So what yesterday happened in New York, that fabulous annual meeting, thanks to Tara, thanks to you, Emily, thanks to the entire alumni, I would say group, it's something we would love to replicate in other parts of the world, because we need it. We are already present when it comes to student population or student diversity, but we are still very much more concentrated around working in the US rather than in working in other places to expand our brand and our brand, institution, and mission, right? So given the fact that you also are origins from many other countries, not only the US, we would love also to see how could we be part of your dreams of helping Franklin by getting more closely connected to other parts of the world. And that's important for us because we need to be much more present and much more visible in many other places. So that's basically it. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you very much, President Martin Barbero. So it is my pleasure now to open this up to general questions and answers. We're in the there's been a push amongst the SGA and the Alumni Council to be as transparent as possible. So we will answer as many questions as we possibly can legally, because I'm not going to jail over a volunteer position. So please, if anybody would like to ask a question in the chat box, we'd be happy to answer anything that we can. Anybody in the room, please raise your hand and we will do our best. Yeah, just ask a question, it's fine. Yes, please.
I have a question about the deep dive.
Mhm.
So what were the themes that came out from that? That's a lot of people, 100. And as a coach, I work with people, a lot of people. There usually are themes that come up like burnout or work-life balance. So I would love to know about deep dive from Franklin. You know, what came out of that? The themes, if there was a recurring theme.
What would you like to know? The strengths, the opportunities, or the challenges that we found?
All of it, really. It's interesting because I don't know if a deep dive has been done in a while, you know, and I find that really intriguing.
Well,
Also, as an older alumni, to see where the school has gone, what are sort of the dreams of the students, what do they want to see, you know, because it's definitely a different place from my time. I was trying to do the career networking event here in New York as one of the first alumni, I think beginning of Alumni Council, beginning of internet, beginning of email. And I was trying to do email meetings and I was trying to do network events. And for me, getting a job was a big thing. So I really wanted to see career network being formed. So it's just, I find it intriguing to know what's on top of mind now.
what would it be for you the most important? I'll answer. Of course, this is not a Socratic kind of exercise, but I'm just curious. I'm just curious to know what is it on top of your mind, like the most best counsel or piece of advice you would give us. So, and sorry, I did not mention we are also here with one of our most relevant alumni and also most generous board members, Kevin McNeil, who's here with us today and who is also part of that effort of visibility through this beautiful video. I don't know if we will have Tara the opportunity to project the teaser maybe today. I think it makes perfect sense maybe to share that also with a global audience. So what would it be for you? And could we go around the table and listen to just one shot, your most important piece of recommendation for us?
I would say
getting them to the private schools and showing them what Franklin's all about, and getting like even like my husband went to Athens College in Athens.
Okay.
They're always saying, so last night we were speaking about how the schools are very focused on Ivy Leagues because they have to show those numbers, but there's a big gap for Franklin. You know, there's a lot of students who don't want to go to those schools. It's very, you know, they want something more unique like Franklin, like I did.
Mhm.
So there is room to go meet all the prep schools globally, because they exist globally. So there is, you know, and present Franklin. I'd like to see that visibility. I agree with you. I think we need a bigger focus in US. Seems it's always US. I would like that. And what else do I want? A big party in London. A big party in London.
Sounds good. That's what I want.
Excellent.
I could throw it.
Thank you so much. I will, if I may, should we, I think Lucila, who is our Vice President for Admissions and Enrollment, it's fair to give her the word of something I'm absolutely very familiar with, but I think it's fair to give the conductor of the orchestra the possibility to say something of our plans now, starting in a few weeks from now, when it comes to secondary schools, first in Switzerland and then in other parts of the world. But would you please, Lucila?
Yes, I'd
Sure.
be happy to. Lucilla, if you want to come over here.
Oh, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Yes, thank you for that very valid remark, because it is really our constant aim to expand our visibility in many different countries. And as you mentioned, there are a lot of top private schools that we visit on a regular basis who have this view of, especially directors of college counseling, there's only the Ivy League out there. And that's where there's a gap, but we notice that more and more students are considering Switzerland. There's a lot of trends as well that are happening, like Brexit, and students who were traditionally considering the UK are now considering other places like Switzerland, Netherlands. So I am very fortunate to, first of all, have a team. Many of you may know, for example, my colleagues based in Lugano, like Petra, she's our recruiter who was just in Greece a week ago, visiting lots of private schools in Athens, in Thessaloniki. She was in Morocco. She does tours literally all around the world. We also have a great presence here, of course, in the US. That's a tradition. In key locations, covering not only the United States, but also key places in Latin America, like Mexico, for example, Canada. We have our West Coast rep who also travels to Canada. So that is our wish, that is our desire. We welcomed 34 different nationalities last fall, 168 students. So we really want to work on increasing that diversity. The year before it was 32, the year before that it was 30. So really have this vast representation, have diversity, not only in terms of citizenships, but in terms of mindsets. So that is that we're constantly striving to attain. And I have to say that the alumni have been instrumental. We have an alumni, the admissions ambassador program that is open. We organize trainings every year. We had about 70 active alumni ambassadors and parents as well in that. So that is really helping us expand, obviously, the visibility. Registration is open all year round. We actually have information on our website of how to sign up. And as I said, we organize trainings with Tara, with my associate director of admissions based in South Carolina, because of course it's it's important to do trainings and find out what you, as President Martin Barbero mentioned, what you have to say, what recommendations you have to share about schools that you all know. So,
Lucila, talk about the increase of percentages of applications. Not everyone will been seeing it flag. And it's unbelievable what her team has done in a short period of time.
thank you. Yeah, you can answer by repeating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes. So yes, we have been after a really tough first year. The first when COVID hit, that was a very challenging year. But as of fall 2021, we managed to increase enrollment of undergraduate students by approximately 60%. And right now, our applications for fall 2023, because we work in a rolling admissions process, with a nonstop processing of applications on a weekly basis. And right now, we are observing a 35% increase in applications, 43% in submitted applications. So that's very important as well for our team to keep those students engaged, those students who inquire, and then move them along all the way up to, as Ryan mentioned, once they are admitted, how can, of course, my team members and alumni and current students who are also great ambassadors keep those students engaged so that Franklin becomes their first choice. A lot of these students apply to perhaps a couple more colleges. So our role is really to keep them engaged after they are admitted as well, all the way until they set foot on campus. It's very important, yes.
Should we keep their work to time?
other.
Yes,
Just
of
because
course.
We have so many choices of branching. Please.
Can I just ask a question?
Yes.
How long have you been in your position at Franklin?
So I've been working in admissions 6 years, and I've been working in higher education admissions and recruitment for about 18 years. Yeah.
And who, just because there's always the balance, and it's great that we have a 35% increase, but who do we lose to? Which university
Very good question.
most and why?
Yes.
And what do we do to split them
Yes.
to come to Franklin?
Absolutely. The question was, who do we usually lose to? When it comes to admissions.
That's a very good question. We do have, so every year there's some trends, right? So we do lose some students to other liberal arts colleges in Europe,
Like St. Andrews?
like St. Andrews. We do lose students to some universities in the Netherlands that offer top-notch English taught programs as well. Exactly, RSM Erasmus University, and then other American universities abroad that offer a similar style
Okay,
in other locations.
but do we know why we lose them?
One of the main reasons is that they receive a better scholarship and financial aid package at another university
Okay.
or a lower tuition. That's correct. Yes.
There any other?
We do have another question that's come up. Ryan has that in front of him.
Yes. So question came from the chats. Clubs, what other programming goals for clubs? And I assume the arrow is the answer.
Yes.
Excellent. At least 2 events each year, a fall weekend, a spring event, and then we'd also like to do a summer send-off for incoming students, if at all possible. So great question. We have another one. Are we ending the SMU waitlist program? I don't know the answer to that. No, we are not. Any more coming, Tara? I know I saw Kate Townsend. I thought you wanted to. Oh, she's not. Matt Wilson. Okay, Matt Wilson. I know you had a question, so I'm going to mute myself. And please welcome.
All right, thanks. Hello, everybody from Okinawa, Japan. My question is for. Okay, can you hear me now? All right. Hello, everybody from Okinawa. My question would be, I guess, for Emily and Ryan. Can you describe for us the difference between the Alumni Council and the Alumni Association?
I will take that. Yes, thank you. All righty. Thank you, Matt. And Matt has been on the Alumni Council since we graduated in 2009. So thank you, Matt, for being a part of the Alumni Council for that long period of time. And because we're reinvigorating the Alumni Council, it is semi-confusing at the moment how this all works out. So thank you, Matt, for asking that question. The Alumni Council is the governing body of the Alumni Association. So every single one of us in this room who went to Franklin and graduated, or went to Franklin at any point in time, become an alumnus of Franklin and are a part of the Alumni Association. So that's free, there are various ways of getting involved in the Alumni Association that go beyond just listening and reading your emails from the Alumni Association, and that is regional programming, being a part of clubs, hosting some of these events all around the world. We've had many alumni in all different countries around the world host alumni events, but then also then you can take the next step as an alumni and be a part of an alumni council committee. So Ryan was going through all of those different committees that are available, and every single alumni can be a part of any one of those committees. We'd love to have your help in all of those. And then the executives of the alumni council, myself, Ryan Ellis, Connor Crawford, and then TBD on our secretary at the moment, all then are voted in as these positions. Right now, we are we were not voted in. We were technically voted in originally from the board, but because we have now become our own alumni association and our own alumni council, it is up to the alumni in 2 years to vote for those executive positions. So right now, Ryan and Connor and I have kept these positions because we need to keep the ball rolling and we need to actually launch the alumni council in this new way. But I look forward to many more people stepping up to be leaders in the alumni association world and on the alumni council. And then each one of us can vote for our new president and vice president and executients. So I look forward to losing my job in a couple years.
Yeah,
My volunteer position.
I do
Not
want
my
to
job.
I do want to follow up on that because it is really, really essential. Because in the interest of transparency, like Emily said, like we just want to keep the ball rolling. We didn't want to have to stop and have an election and all that. We just wanted to get going. Nothing would make Emily and I happier than there be 20 people that want to take over our positions and we get voted out in 2 years. Believe me, we want to make sure that you guys are as involved in this as possible, that this is as transparent as possible. And, in 10, 15 years, the Franklin Alumni Association, Alumni Council is one of the best in the world. That's our goal.
All right. So sorry, I need to follow up. So the association is all of us. Oh, sorry. You can hear me now. Okay. So the association is all of us. And then the council are the leaders of the association. So for right now, the three of you.
And the committee chairs, yeah.
Okay. Okay, perfect. And then what is happening then with the funds that were previously gathered by the Alumni Council to then create a fund that typically supported these events? And how will we try, I know Connor's not here, but how will we try to adjust that and address that going forward to have a bigger fund?
So the fund that Matt is referencing is the Alumni Council Fund that was created in the 90s. And every single person who was on the Alumni Council gave to this fund so that we could all support the events that happen all over the world. Those could only be possible by the amazing donors that we have on the Alumni Council. We'll continue to have that fund. Now we have even more control of that fund though, because we're no longer under the board. So alumni trustees were the head of the Alumni Council. They were voted on by the board members. So now by becoming our own entity, we give that power back to the people, back to the Alumni Association. And then we still, Connor as our funds officer is the ultimate expert on the funds, and he will still be managing that fund. We have quite a bit of money in there at the moment because we haven't had any programming in the last 3 years. We did pay for the alumni boat cruise, alumni and graduation boat cruise that happens every year. We also give out 2 awards now to current students for their artwork. That's voted on by the Alumni Council each year. And then we plan to use the rest of the money for programming over the years. And we will continue to use that fund and continue to increase it through our Alumni Council. Was there anything else that I missed when in regards to our funds? What we usually use it for?
Also, I think the hope too is with this new restructure of the Alumni Council that we're able to engage so many more alumni who will want to give back to the university financially. And so that will also continue to help us support these other regional programming and other initiatives that we're still continuing that the Alumni Council created.
Unmute. Okay, now you can.
I seem to remember a couple of years ago that there was a process by which faculty could request speakers, funding for speakers on targeted issues, like if we needed support for DEI, we would come to the Alumni Council. Is that still in
Yeah.
place?
The question was from Professor Ferrari, who's here in the room, whether or not we can use those funds for professors that want to bring in different lectures or even training, I would say too, for faculty. And yes, that is a part of it. Actually, any alumni and faculty can come to the Alumni Council for use of funds. They can do a proposal for an event, or they can do it for to help out the future students and faculty of Franklin. I think it's really important to note that each one of our committees is here to help with those kinds of things. So if you are wanting something for diversity, equity, and inclusion, then you would work with our committee to produce that programming at Franklin, and then hopefully you would invite alumni also to view that. You know, this is all about connecting alumni and students and to the rest of the world, you know, and to opportunities, careers, or learning opportunities. So ultimately, we would want everything to come back to the alumni in some way, shape, or form, in experience or otherwise. Matt, did we answer your question appropriately? Do you have any more?
That you answered my questions. I think from a strategy perspective, I think, you know, we may lose some donations from the people that were on the council, but I think that there's a potential to gain donations to that type of fund from the overall association that we've not really connected with before. In the same way, typically there's a connection for the Franklin Fund or specific types of things throughout the year, but not necessarily this fund to support the alumni efforts.
Thank you.
I have a continuation.
Oh, yes.
To
Go right ahead, Thomas. Yes.
I just first of all want to thank the president for coming to New York and meeting with us. I want to welcome you to Franklin. I want to thank Brian and Emily for the great work you've been doing, setting up the Alumni Council. I just want to take a minute to reflect on a couple of things. First of all, obviously a lot of us are very engaged still at Franklin, and we're very passionate about Franklin. As I said, I'm from the class of 2019, and I feel like a lot has changed at Franklin. Obviously, we've been through a pandemic, we've had a change in leadership, we've had a lot of faculty. I guess, in my point of view, what I really care about is that students need the same opportunity that I had in the past. And I feel like the position I'm in right now, and all the opportunities I have in grad school and on the job market are really due to my experience, and especially to those relationships I have with professors. So that's really what the core for me, making sure that future students have the same opportunities I have. And I do understand that we live in a world where we need to be competitive with the university, also financially and into innovation, and that's why I'm very intrigued and very happy to hear about the different initiatives that Franklin has followed in the last couple of years. I want to mention the initiative with the UN that has just started. I currently work at the UN. So I'm very intrigued to hear more about it, and hopefully maybe have a conversation a bit later on that. But yeah, so basically my question, I have two, is one of them is to see what are the core values that we try to keep at Franklin in the next maybe 5 years. Also, in the said we need to innovate and stuff like that, but what are the core values that we're going to try to keep? And then also, I guess one of my worries, or the worry that has been shared by some alumni, has to do with the Swiss accreditation. And we just want to hear a word on that, how this is going and how we plan to satisfy the requirements to keep that going.
Thank you. Do you want to repeat, and then would you like to answer?
So the second question was with the Swiss accreditation. So we're going to address that as long as we're legally allowed to. And Thomas, the first question, I'm sorry, was?
I guess in terms of values.
Yes, that's right. I'm sorry. Yes, the core values of Franklin University, Switzerland, and how we're going to live up to them. So we are a liberal arts institution. There's no getting around it. We are a liberal arts institution. We are committed to liberal arts. There are things in the workplace that we feel like we need to adjust to and advance to, but at our core, we are a liberal arts institution, and we will always be a liberal arts institution. And in terms of the Swiss accreditation, again, I don't know what I can say. Oh, Samuel. Excellent. Just pass that
on. Very kind of you. Super kind. Well, I also like to if I may, to elaborate a bit more about values. I mean, values is not just about the educational model, which is pretty clear for us, right? It's also about the values, how we work, how we act, how we behave, how we react as employees, right? Frankly, as well, right? So we are making a big effort in bringing those values closer to our working environment, to the way we deal with our daily routine, right? And that's very important. When it comes to the values as an institution have been refreshed last May, have been approved by the board. That meeting took place before my arrival here. That was during the past of the most was the board meeting in May in Lugano, right? So you might have access to that. There's a beautiful site that has been created. You just put Franklin's values and you'll see the 8, 9 values, right? What we are trying to do now is to connect those values to specific performance indicators to make sure everyone addresses them in a professional manner, right? And actually, we have been inspired by other corporations, not necessarily universities, that are working about that from an organizational culture point of view, right? So just you walk the talk and lead by example is what we have embraced as one of our 3 V's, the values, right? It's not just about putting them on the wall, but also practicing. So that's clearly very important. The academic value is a liberal arts institution, but that it's also looking to the future, right? And to other opportunities. And the United Nations, which Thomas, you just mentioned, is clearly a way that we are progressing in our own way of renovating and updating our model, right? We cannot just sit and conceive ourselves as a 1700s institution, right? Because that is something we cannot permit ourselves to do. That's not part of our history. We are much more bold. We are much more unique, which we are even much more special from an educational point of view. And just take a look at our founding fathers and see what their background was. None of them were scholars. They were teachers of secondary education. They were entrepreneurs. They were fundraisers. There were many things, right? But they weren't necessarily stiff, snob, arrogant scholars from other sorts of institutions where there are many of those, right? So we have also to be a bit more flexible, creative, and imaginative when it comes about to work around the future of the educational model, the adaptation of the pre-existing portfolio to a more seductive portfolio, but obviously maintaining the essence and the DNA of what we are, right? According to the accreditation, the Swiss accreditation, it's very important to know that we have to break down what we conceive as Franklin being hacked by the Swiss accreditors. No. Franklin, and we have here today with us our first dean of college, Armando Zanecchia, who was the first person 20 years ago who had full responsibility of making Franklin an accredited institution, not only in the US, but also in Switzerland, because we started being accredited in the US by Middle States. And then we, decade later, 2 decades later, we got accredited in Switzerland. We got accredited as a university because that was the only existing category back then in the early 2000, right? So that was the only definition. Either you were or you were not. There's a change in the law, which comes into place in 2014, in which a new category is created, which is the University Institute. Within the higher ed spectrum, kind of to make it in American terms, a kind of analogy, you have community colleges, you have liberal arts institutions which normally do not have PhDs, and some do not even have master's degree, and you have research comprehensive institutions. Well, that's what Switzerland has been working and articulating, and its new higher ed public policy is molded in a similar form to that, right? And they've also adapted some things of the Bologna Agreement in 1999 in order to create that space, that room for supervision, for compliance, and for many other things. So when they came to us on a second time, because Armando worked with them for some years, they thought it was a better option for us not to pursue the ideal and the mistake of becoming a research comprehensive institution, which will require for us to grow, into 3,000, 5,000 students, right? Having 5 or 7 different schools, right? Having programs in all disciplines and having multiples of degrees, which is not part of our nature. So actually the way to protect our interests when it comes to regulation has been by defending what they have conceived as the best way for them to fit, for us to be fit in the system by being a university institute. You have in Geneva, I was sharing with you yesterday, Thomas, I think, and with Natalia, the name of some prestigious university institutes already in Switzerland, right? Well, such as the Geneva. You have in Fiesole, in the outskirts of Florence, you have the European Institute, which is one of the most prestigious university institutes in the entire planet. So you can still be conceived by accreditors as a great institution, even having changed the status. This does not affect our home recognition, does not have any correlation or collateral effect to our American accreditation, right? And it's just something that it has happened. And there's no way we can go back. Now, the issue, the case, the legal case is more about the branding, protecting our name and not being forced to change the name by their logic of once you've changed your category, you are also forced to change your name, right? So that's where the case sits and where we are obviously creating our defense there and crunching numbers of course, because we contribute to the region in a way which no other institution contributes. We are much more veteran institution than the other 2 institutions sitting in Lugano, and there's a big there are blind spots in the law when it comes to the freedom of creating a private interest and freedom of exercising your services as a private learning institution, right? A non-profit private institution. So there are missing parts there, which we are just studying and exploring with our councils, legal councils, and hopefully we will have a positive outcome from that. But that does not affect our roadmap, does not affect our project, does not affect anything, the stability, viability, credibility, and reputation of our institution from any point of view. Thank you. Excellent. We need more. I think Armando could help me if I've forgotten anything.
comprehensive job. I would just add.
Let's.
Just to emphasize as a footnote, that we were the very first higher education institution in Switzerland to be accredited by the Swiss accreditation authorities. They came to us and asked us, how do we do this? Because they hadn't been down this road before. So because we have Middle States accreditation, we had all the components of what would constitute an efficient accreditation process. And so they use that as a template by coming to us to kind of prove how we should go about accreditation. And that's how it all started 22 years ago.
That's how our disciples came back. We teach and then we get. Sorry.
The university in Switzerland to be accredited both by Middle States and
Sure.
Swiss.
Yeah, there's no other institution that is accredited financially. Even though there are other American institutions which are there, but are not Swiss accredited institutions.
Thank you very much. So we have about, what was it, 40 minutes left? Yeah, about that. So we have a couple more questions from the chat box. We have potentially a couple more questions here. And then Majda is back. So Majda, I don't know if you want to introduce your committee. We will get to that. And then we're going to close out with a, Majda, you want to do that now?
Sure. So first of all, hello, everyone. Sorry about a major disconnection, but it happened in the entire neighborhood, not just me. So my name is Majda Dakak. I graduated from Franklin in 2015. The major in communications and media studies and comparative literary and cultural studies. Recently, I completed my master's in innovation and education. And I'm very excited to kind of change fields now from tourism to working in the field of education. When it comes to the Alumni Council and the committee, I'm very excited about being part of this amazing team and to feel like I'm giving back to Franklin. So I'm chair of the programming committee, and basically what I'm gonna be kind of refocusing on is getting the Franklin community back together after 2 years of nothingness, really. It doesn't have to be a go big or go home type of thing. So it can be just as simple as a get together everywhere or anywhere, really, to talk about different topics, workshops, a coffee break. It doesn't always have to be a grand reception with all the temptations and all the excitement that comes with that. We will be doing that, of course, but I think one of the most important things is to get people back together in very simple, slow, gradual steps, and then take it from there.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Majda. We're looking forward to some excellent reunions all over the globe. Thank you so much. So I know Sonia has been waiting very patiently with a second question. We're going to bring you in. Please unmute yourself and we'll be good to go.
Thanks. I'm Sonia Seiden, class of 2016. And I've been on the alumni, or I guess Alumni Association for like 4 or 5 years. And I'm currently still the New York rep. So I'll definitely be looking into scheduling more events now that we're back to some kind of normalcy. I do want to go back to my question about the SMU program. I do try to stay connected with a lot of younger alumni, and we have a very real problem as far as getting younger alumni to donate consistently. And now a lot of us are starting to be in the place or the time of our lives where we can afford to donate, but we're not. And it's very difficult for me to get fellow alumni to get interested and motivated to donate and to stay up to date with alumni events. A lot of that is concern over the way the program, like the SMU program, and that kind of acceptance has changed our student body. I don't think it's appropriate for the Alumni Council to skirt around that issue for much longer. we've been talking about this for years. And I'm so happy to hear that we've increased our enrollment. 160 new students is incredible. I've spoken to some of them myself, and I know how much they love Franklin, but I also care about the attrition rate. And that our attrition rate has not been doing well in the last few years, partly because of that program. And I really don't want to see Franklin get to a point where we're known as one of these study abroad party schools. I think that's detrimental to our reputation, to the campus culture, and even things like accreditation and getting the community to support us and appreciate our presence in the community. So I'm really happy to be meeting Samuel, the new president. It sounds like we have a lot of great changes. I don't think that we can diminish the issue that this program has across campus culture and alumni culture, the way that it's affected us as an institution. I really hope that you think about putting a plan in place to resolve that and get back to focusing on encouraging full-time students as opposed to study abroad programs. So I'm definitely looking to hear more on that in the next couple of years as an alumna.
I think I'm a little out of the loop here. What's the SMU program? I'm so sorry.
Southern Methodist University.
Oh, what's that?
Let me do my best to frame. Well, first of all, thank you so much for your observation. It's absolutely important to know what you have in mind, and not necessarily always to all of us to be in tune or to be absolutely aligned in our own ways of looking at about certain issues, right? The first thing I can say is that Franklin started basically as a 1 year, 2 year institution. So actually it started issuing associated degrees before starting to issue bachelor's degree. So it started actually with a smaller and with a big ambition, but with a little with the first stage of a process, which ended up by what it is today, by a university. So thanks to those primarily American students who came to Franklin in the 1960s, 1970s for short periods of time, Franklin financially was possible, right? So it started like that. Even 40 something or 50 something years later, thanks to those learning experiences from those students who were here 40 or 50 years ago, Franklin is a financial reality today. So it's unbelievable the impact that 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, or an entire semester had in the lives of many of those students. You know? So following with that truth and that origin, in a very difficult moment in Franklin's life, economically speaking, 5, 6, 7 years ago, where enrollment was not as promising as it is today, the board and the administrators, senior management team came to this conclusion that there was a need for those programs to grow in intensity in order to sustain Franklin. That clearly was something that it had its logic, such as I said, it had an historical reason for that, but there was also an economic need to do that. That does not mean that we are not degree seeking educators. Actually, on the contrary, and yesterday at the board, I personally expressed my desire of having more and more and more students coming for an entire experience, right? And that's where actually our hopes are and what we are projecting, because we are a university and we are universal, right? It's actually the etymology of university. We are ambitious by nature, and we want people to remain with us for long periods of time. It's true that some short programs, but it could be not because of the program, it could be because of the student in particular. So making generalizations, I think could bring some inaccurate understanding of the worth and the value of some of those programs, right? So it's true, and I've received indirectly from the Office of Student Life some comments, observations, concerns, and also from the CEA of how some students from some short term programs might see the university experience at Franklin a bit different from others, right? But I think it's our interest to make that, to clarify that, to support, assist, and resolve those issues and incidents, and less of making a policy with which we will be excluding and not including the students who also think of Franklin as a way of liberating themselves, of freeing themselves, and of doing something different from their home institutions, right? And that's how I would really approach this. But I'm absolutely respectful. Obviously, I could not be another way. With your concern, I will personally take good note of what you've said. And obviously, in those cases in which that has altered or has restored the peace of mind of some or many, that I'm hopeful that we will be able to resolve that. Anyhow, somebody who was at SMU a month ago, member Kevin McNeely, would like to say something.
I'm so glad all of you are on this call. I want to address what you had to say about, people that are there on a short-term basis. I was one of those people in 1973. I went to a school that was at the time called Claremont Men's College, and it was the second semester of my sophomore year. And the school was Franklin College. It was only a 2-year college, but that experience, that one semester, had such an indelible impact on my life that I have since become a trustee of Franklin University. And it's amazing of some of the things that we're doing today. And so I think you should understand that of course, all of us want people to have a 4-year experience, like our daughter, who is now a senior at Franklin. But we need these other institutions, whether it be SMU or USC or Emerson or Wheaton. It's extremely important to keep having them because financially it's been it's helped us sustain ourselves. It's helped us to do what we're doing today. And when you next are on campus, you're going to see a new building, which is unbelievable. And it's auditoriums and faculty and dorms and we need to do everything we can in the most challenging time. The last couple of years have been a real challenge. And so to be able to get students from all over the country, and whether it be for a semester or for a year, it's important to keep Franklin going. And so, and I have to tell you that even though when I was at SMU just a month ago, and how they do it is that if they have more people than they can allow in, they have them for their first year, for their freshman year to come over. But there's still a lot of loyalty.
Right, that's
from
the
that
problem.
group. And some of that group are donating. And then some of these people that go for, one semester or for a year end up coming back to Franklin. So there is allegiance, there is loyalty. You're not going to have it for everyone because, sometimes you only go to school for a semester or for a year and you end up somewhere else. Your allegiance perhaps is going to be to the other, but it's something that's kept us alive and well. And so hopefully you'll have a better understanding as to why we're doing this.
Thank you so much.
We'd like to just take a moment Sorry, take a moment, Sonia, to give you a couple numbers too, to go back to retention rates and study abroad numbers, just so that we're all on the same page when it comes to the number of students. I'm gonna let Lucilla do that. Right, well, yeah, we'll let Lucilla say that.
Well, I would just like to add very quickly the breakdown for last fall, 2022, 2021. We welcomed 103 freshmen and 15 transfer students, so 118 degree seeking students and 43 freshmen abroad. So going back to that balance, of course, it's very important for us to keep a balance. And of course, I reiterate what Kevin and President Martin Barbero put so nicely about how that brings the richness that is brought by all these freshmen abroad and study abroad students. But I just thought I would clarify the breakdown of last year's class and also the year before.
So is it just 1/3 of our enrollment are students for the short program?
Correct.
Count for a short period of time, 1/3. It's not
Correct.
much.
Especially not compared to other American universities abroad that are focused more on just study abroad. And interesting, I think it's an interesting thing that is happening. We have 2 SMU students who started with us in the fall who fell in love with Franklin, and they just reached out to us after 3 weeks that they want to stay. So I thought that was interesting.
I met the grandparent of one of them last Saturday. We're waiting for his son for probably hangover of the previous night. And that was
That's the Franklin way.
They were just curious, wandering on campus and very impressed, and very lovely couple from Dallas. So it still is a very important.
I was one too, Boston University. I refused to go back.
Sonia, as the president, I do want to make sure that you're heard. And I do agree with you that alumni, it is difficult to get alumni to give. And I don't know if I have heard over the years that study abroads have increased. That's definitely been something that's been talked about amongst alumni for the last decade, as you were saying, Sonia, before. Like it's been something that we've been talking about. But with the amazing work of the admissions team, I think that we are creating a whole new Franklin that allows for not just four-year students to be a part of Franklin. And I'm hoping that with the increase, or with the beginning of these kinds of meetings and this kind of transparency between the school and alumni and current students and faculty and staff, that we will have more people participating in the Alumni Council, in the Alumni Association, and we'll make sure to keep a great watch and eye on current student culture and making sure that we're a part of that in some way, shape, or form. And Fabio's gonna say something really quick too.
Sonia, I wanted also to say, I think that the integration of the SMU students, the USC students, and the other study abroads has really helped to lessen the divide. And since one of our values is inclusion and inclusivity, we don't want to perpetuate a kind of otherness for our study abroads, and create a kind of a narrative about them damaging the value of the institution, unless we're really sure that that's the case. And I think probably it's more a case of individuals doing specific things, and then a narrative getting spun around that. So if we could, I would say, let's go the opposite direction and bring the SMU people into the family and make them, integrate with the values that the institution is teaching them while they're there. and I think we'll get better results.
Can I just add on that? I think also part of the culture is American universities, American society, the students, the parents understand giving to the school, giving back to the school. Giving to advancement is not part of European culture. And maybe being systemic, you start when the people are on campus and how lucky they are. And here are some events that the Alumni Council has provided or subsidized for you to do. When you hear it 3 or 4 times as a student, when it comes time of their departure of the university, whether it's 3 months, 2 years, 4 years, they then understand what it means to give back, to provide opportunities for the students there.
And I was just going to add. Tara, can you turn on your, unmute yours? I have.
It is unmuted, yeah.
I
It's
I support the students that we're still a great, I've made a great impact on my life. But respectfully, I think it's much easier to theorize about all of the benefits that come about this in conversation and seeing them outwardly disrespect the student body or the surrounding community. It's definitely an issue of there are some students that are really here to expand their world and liberate themselves from their home institutions. And there are students that really don't care about the institution and create a lot of problems. And one thing that I would like to bring to the table is the fact that a lot of these students aren't actually admitted in Franklin. They're admitted to their home institution and incorporated into Franklin. And so I would like to propose just adding another layer of filtering of these students that we can still continue to incorporate their views and their perspective and have this financial asset to our university, but then also choose more selectively for students who are interested in and it's very particular. And it's not for everybody. And some people parties or to create a bad name for us and the surrounding community. Years. So that's just really a concern to think that alumni haven't felt been heard.
I think in the interest so now I have a follow-up or in the interest of time, should we move forward?
I have a follow-up if you'd like to.
Hold on, one second.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to discount any study abroads. I've made great friends who are study abroads. I'm so happy to hear we have people here who were study abroads. That's great. Those are the people we want, right? I agree. We don't want people who are coming to our school simply to get into another program that do not care about the quality of the work they deliver, do not care about their contributions to campus culture, and are there to get wasted. Sorry, but that's what it is. They're there to drink legally for the first time in their lives for 3 months and then get into the school they really wanted to go to. That's the program I'm referring to. Study abroads, that's great. We should be encouraging that. Full tuition payments, amazing. Let's get people who are willing and able to pay full tuition. But yes, we should be thoughtful about who we're putting into our programs. We want to encourage people who are going to end up being full-time or who are going to respect and value their time while on campus. And again, you can't keep pretending this isn't a problem. Like it is. There's 30% of an incoming student body potentially leaving before 4 years. And we know more people from that group of 100 very well could transfer as well. Like, I understand finances. Trust me, I have a corporate job, so I can pay for my interest in the arts. So I get the importance of making money to pay your bills. But like, please don't mistake what I'm saying and change the conversation to be generally about study abroads. We're talking about a very specific problem within the study abroad program. It's been an issue for years. And I really don't want to keep seeing the Alumni Council skirt around this and move on. That's what I'm saying. Everything else that you've said, I absolutely respect it and I agree with it. I would love to encourage study abroads who value their time. That would be amazing. That's what we want to see. Alumni want to see that the incredible experience we had while on campus is being fostered and maintained, and that we don't degrade that purely for the sake of finances. Right? That's why we go to the private institutions across Europe as well, right? To encourage those students to go. It's a balance. Thanks for hearing my perspective. I appreciate
general
it.
agreement in this room. This is why we created or revamped the Alumni Councils for issues like this. So I certainly hope that this is an issue that will continue to be raised, and you'll join us, and together as an alumni base, we'll be able to come to a conclusion. So Sonia, thank you so much for raising that concern. I hope that the answers today, at least at the very least, put you at ease that we are trying to address issues of the alumni. And we certainly encourage you and anyone in the audience or in the room to elevate concerns that you think that we need to address here at Franklin. In the interest of time, we are going to move on. We do have another question regarding.
Oh, Arnie, hey, so sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah, well, I wanted to follow up on something that Matt brought up in the chat that we didn't actually have a chance to do. It is touching on this topic, but very quickly.
Please.
Maybe after. So what is so this one is one I agree. It would be nice to so I graduated the same year Sonia did, 2015, and I will say that I came in with a group of about 160 freshmen here, and by the end of my time at Franklin, I was about like 40 people. It's a very lonely being a senior sometimes, especially when you're kind of like like partying or at least like hanging out with that group of people, and just kind of looking around and being like, we survived the last like 4 years. But to the point of what is the success rate of being able to transfer those people who do study abroad into permanent students? Like, do we have a program for that, a pipeline? And if so, what's the success rate of that?
Did everyone at home hear the question? Yes, you did. Excellent. We are having a little technical difficulty here. We're working on a solution. We're going to have an answer to that question as long as everyone heard it.
They can see us. They just.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the input button again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We gotta stand back. I know.
Yeah.
Lisa, you're gonna have to speak up loudly if you want to answer it.
So freshmen abroad students and students who are program through institutional partnerships, they come with a very specific goal in mind. They come for one semester. They have very strict requirements to meet. So not just they're admitted to SMU, and they have very, very strict academic requirements. And then their intention is to, as you all know, to move on to another institution. But I think if I heard correctly, your question is about retention, right? And how do we make sure not only that the students from those programs stay, but that happens naturally, that component happens, but really our retention efforts as a whole for the whole place. I can name it.
Sorry, when you do a master, you not necessarily take a PhD. When you take a bachelor's degree in a certain institution, you do not necessarily stay at that same institution to take your master. So I don't get the point of where the conversion, how does it play out as a strategy that we have to insist on. I see how important, and we have vice president for academic affairs, our deans and divisions chairs supervise the retention within those students who want to stay with us for 4-year period, and for a 4-year period, and their retention is actually 91, 92%, which is pretty high, right? obviously it will be perfect. It will be 100%, but not even Ivy League institutions in the US have 100%, right? So even Yale, Harvard has 98.7 or 99.2. So, but those are students who come here for a 4-year period, for a 4-year degree. Probably it was great. It was bigger, the percentage of students who came here for short periods of time a few years ago. But as the statistics show us, right now it's 2/3 of our students want to stay with us for long periods of time. And we're doing a pretty good job because thanks to Fabio and many other faculty members, they are mentoring services, counseling services, growing efforts in growing in relevancy are well-being people, right? So to speak, and certificate professionals in well-being. We are making sure nobody drops out, frankly, because of personal issues. But obviously we are facing the same challenges as many other institutions are facing after COVID, which is there is an increase in anxiety, in many other different issues, much more serious. And we are also taking good care of that in order not to have anybody, not for academic performance, but for personal reasons, having to leave the institution. But we are happy to improve, but I think we have this under our control. What is, but whoever comes for a short period of time, obviously there's a high probability of having that person staying for a short period of time, because that's actually how it goes normally. I hope that answers your
question. What I'm hearing is that the focus is not to convert study abroads and encourage them to stay full time.
Well, I mean, you cannot force somebody who has decided, and there is also an institutional partnership, which is a commitment, a word, and an honor that we have to comply to, which is those institutions want their students back, right? Okay. So I was at Emerson College actually on Tuesday, and they were a bit concerned. One of their students that does not want to return to Emerson. And obviously, this is for them, it's a concern, right? So for us, it's very, very encouraging because we are doing things very well, but for them, it's a concern, right? So how could that change? There could be spaces in those partnerships, in those agreements, in where to state that whoever wants to stay, even if he or she has come, they have come just for a short period of time, could stay, and put it on paper, right? Could be a possibility. We are very flexible, and we're not redoing, but we are also adapting our agreements to the new circumstances and the new demands that students have right now, which are even having been a few years ago. Now students are also expecting some other things from the universities that they're going to. So
I think the answer is to make the Franklin experience so freaking awesome that they never want to leave. So we have time for what, one more question?
Thank you, by the way.
No,
yes. We have one question in the room.
Hi, my name is Isabel. I graduated with the class of 2020, so this is before I haven't met before. And I just kind of want to touch on the subject that has been brought up here. As someone who, when I came in 2016, it was the peak study abroad programs, peak programs where we had people from kind of all walks of life and diversity. And I just want to say that we have to be careful to not fall into looking at the final end of the problem and not the cause of the problem, I think, because if we think we have students that are maybe not fully understanding the family of Franklin, the family that the surrounding community that surrounding can offer us, then maybe we're not translating well enough in the semester or in the few months that they're there at Franklin. And so I think that maybe that's kind of a gap that we can bridge and reach out to them and make sure that they are, for example, if we want them to respect quiet hours and be respectful of the quiet and community that they can, then maybe we need to help them feel like they're a part of that community and not just in a transitional phase of their life. And again, it's the same issue that we have with some four-year students as well, where you know, they're not super involved in curriculum life, they're not super involved with the community around them. And so I think expanding on the clubs that we have, right, on the social programs, the immersion in the community, which I think is potentially lacking currently. And I think would all help get to the root of the problem instead of just looking at that and saying that we're unhappy with it currently, which I think we can all agree on their flaws with it. But I definitely think that there are ways to help it from developing into the flaw that it is.
Completely agree.
May I add just very
Absolutely. I'm not going to say no.
no. This is a very personal belief, right? I would like to think of Franklin not as an exclusive club. You subscribe, register, or you come because you've been referred by somebody who has shared your name with organizers or the gatekeepers. I would like to think of Franklin as a place in which you transform and you get your final version, your best version once you have gone through that process. So you get out better as you get in. And that's what education is about. It's not about conserving you or selecting or picking the exquisite fruit. It's about having raw material in some cases and being able as an educational institution to transform that person and to make it a better person. So that's probably too progressive, but it's how progressive philosophers in education in this country, people such as John Dewey, and excellent people who actually action and practiced education through the creation of schools, thought about it. And I think much of what liberal arts is about and what the founding fathers of this nation came across when it came to establish, and some of them, such as Benjamin Franklin, was actually one of the founders of the University of Pennsylvania, was actually that global citizenship, those values, and they took for granted that many people were illiterate. They could not even read and write, but they had and they deserved to have a good education. So I think that that's something that makes us very distinctive and not necessarily by being distinguished. And that's where probably our value resides as well. And what we have to advocate as educators, that we are responsible of making better human beings after whatever time you spend with us. And if Kevin said that this changed his life, as it does, and as we can see on an annual basis, it's because I'm sorry because I'm putting this on, it's just not you, he came out different from how he came in. And this is Franklin for me.
And so
That's the deep dive.
yeah, that's the deep dive. So in the interest of time, because we actually will get kicked out in about 10 minutes, wanted to just kind of, there was one more question that we wanted to address, and then we'll have a wrap up. It was the question about solar panels, an update on solar panels. I don't know.
What's the, it was, the question was, what's the update on them being installed?
Yes.
Because they were part of the class of 2018 senior.
So yes, Tommaso is going to answer a question about
Vice
the
President.
Vice President Tommaso Rizzi and star midfielder for the Franklin Sox team, Tommaso Rizzi, is going to answer the question about solar panels.
The solar panels have been installed both on phase one, new A, new B, here, and they continue to produce, incorporate energy and putting it back into the operations, or whenever there's excess production, we sell it back to the grid. We have done an extra step in phase three. We also have new solar panels, a new generation, more efficient, and we have a unique project that we developed together with SUPSI and with our architects and with the local electricity provider, EIL, where the tower in the new building, we have photovoltaic louvers that on one end shields construction from excessive heat, and on the other hand, they incorporate solar energy and they push it back into the grid. That is one of its kind in Switzerland and in Europe. They're installing the last louvers as we speak, I think.
Great.
So
I think we're going to have to cancel the questions there, but I want to thank everyone in the room and at home. Emily was going to do the official sign off, but I just want to say before I send it over to her, if all the problems are solved, there will be no need for Alumni Council. We know that there's a lot of room to grow, and this is just the beginning. And I'm so grateful that all of you at home, in this room, and all of those that couldn't even be here today are going to be with us as we move forward, because we all love Franklin. We want the best for Franklin, and I'm honored to be part of this. And with that, Emily, please take it away.
Thank you so much for being here today, all of you on the call. And once again, we are recording this session, so it will be sent out to all alumni. You'll also receive an amazing video teaser in your email after this particular meeting that's going to be about academic travel. We had a preview of that particular video last night at the New York alumni event, but we'll get that out to all alumni. I do hear what our audience is saying. I'm honored to be speaking not only with you all today and starting this particular meeting each year. This will be an annual occurrence where we'll have an opportunity to hear an update about the school and get these questions answered rather. But I encourage each one of you to reach out to us also directly throughout the year so that it's not just 1 2-hour session where we're getting lots of information thrown at us. Ryan and I are very open to one-on-one meetings. We've had them with Thomas. We've had them actually with many people in this room over the last 18 months. And we are more than willing to do that with every single person who listens to this recording, who is a part of Franklin. We have about 7,000 alumni around the world. I was looking at a heat map of all of our different alumni that are connected with us, and we only have about 1,300 people that we're really connected with around the world. So it's really upon each one of us in this room, you know, online, and those that listen to the recording to connect with Franklin, whether it be by reading our newsletters, by reaching out to the people on the Alumni Council, by reaching out to our new president, by reaching out to Tara, our amazing alumni relations head, and go even beyond that and serve on a committee with us. We'd love to work with each one of you to make sure that Franklin is representative of the diverse and amazing community that we have. And Fabio, I see your hand up, and if you want to say something as well.
I just wanted to say you acted as liaison to diversity, equity, and inclusion last year when you were on the board. And I wonder if the association wants to consider creating a liaison between the committees of the Alumni Association and the committees on campus, where there's just a line of communication on questions like the ones that were raised, you know, by Sonia or others that maybe weren't voiced today, on questions of standards or personnel, whatever people are talking about. We'd like to get them, you know, into formal channels rather than on social media, you know, where sometimes these pop up.
Right. We have been hearing a lot of buzz on social media, and actually Ryan and I have been having, as I said before, a lot of one-on-one meetings with people who have reached out via social media. So that's also a channel that we listen to and respect. But to Fabio's point, we are, each one of our committees does have now a channel to faculty and staff at Franklin. So at the beginning of my, at this beginning of the meeting, I mentioned that we want to have different levels and different ways to connect to Franklin through the committees, like our DEI committee. We will be connected directly with a staff member or a faculty member at Franklin. So each liaison will have that connection, and the chairs themselves will be that alumni connection. So if you want to be a part of that and be directly connected to current students, faculty, and staff, serving on the committee is the best way to do that. And I'd be honored to work with any alumni from Franklin to make sure that we are connected to students and we're helping them out as well as helping each other out as well. Yeah, great. So with that, we are 2 minutes ahead of schedule. Woo! And I want to thank you again for being here today. In the chat, we've put our email address. Please do reach out anytime. And thank you to Tara for setting up this meeting and being our amazing staff liaison. If you need anything, please do reach out. We want to help. We can only help ourselves if we help each other. So with that, thank you again for your time, and we'll see you for sure next year but hopefully in the meantime, we'll also see you at some of our programs. Have a great one.